Hello everyone, hope you had a good Easter break. This video today is about what I would like you to do with regards to your extended project. Before Easter I gave you a list of tasks to do, which we can see on the screen here. Mostly they were to get your folder together and submit it on eBrock. There have been a few problems with this which I'm going to go over later, and hopefully we can get it right. I'll just briefly go over it though. Before Easter I asked you to generate 3 ideas, which you should have done, and then take a photo of them on your phone in good light. Probably outdoors is best. And I asked you to put those on a separate slide each so that I could see them in the PowerPoint. I then asked you to do your review, and I'll go over in a minute what is important in those reviews once more so that you can be ultra sure you've done it correctly. And as we can see on the screen here, I've also given you a list of what I asked you to submit. We'll go over that later. Also, what you should be doing at the moment, finishing off, is your critical review, and I'll say a few words on that later as well. So, first of all, the idea review task. You've got 3 ideas for your project. Hopefully they're different and using a variety of materials and processes, and I'll ask you to review them. Now, the table is obviously the best way to do this, but it doesn't matter how you do it as long as the depth of review is there. Now, if you remember in class, I did show you 3 different ones. We've got 3 different ways of doing this, and I made it very clear that detail is the key to the high grades here. So we first looked at this one up the top here, which is a very basic review using red, amber and green. Now I would only award this sort of a D or E grade because there's not really any discussion on the pros and cons or how you've arrived at those colours, so I warn you away from doing anything like that. I'm hoping that everyone's going to at least get to this stage here, and this one is much better. As you can see, if we pick this aesthetics one here, you can see a fairly detailed description there of how that particular design one meets the aesthetic requirements, and they've awarded it an amber. I've got some detailed descriptions there to mark. However, as you will remember, aesthetics needed about 2 to 3 spec points, and is that enough? Does it go into enough detail? So the only way to really do that is to do something like the bottom table here. Now this one, as you can see, the same box, it lists the aesthetic PDS points, and then it talks about each individually and it rates them individually. That is by far the best and most detailed way to review your sketches. I hope you're aiming for this, and obviously this type of review will get the highest grades. Okay, now just to remind you about the critical review if you want those high grades as well. The critical review is a piece of research, so it will go with the research at the end of the day. The aim of this is to assess what other people are saying and then come to your own conclusion. So hopefully you've found something. Now I can't tell you what to do here, you've got to get it yourself, but hopefully you've found some sort of document or website which has other people talking about a product that is similar or the same as yours that you can assess. You're then going to be picking bits of it and talking about what other people think and how that will impact on what you want to design yourself. So if we have a quick look at the summary at the bottom here, it says number 1, record your information. Number 2, analyse the information, what other people say, and say what you think about it. And then finally, you're going to apply the information that you found out, the pros and cons, to your own product. So if we move on to this slide here, you'll remember that I showed you, I found for my fictitious project a best toolboxes for the DIYer. So this was online and it had other people, and hopefully it's more than one person, talking about what they thought of different toolboxes. So what I've done here is I've circled the important bits, put boxes around them, sorry, and then in regard to these different boxes that I have circled or squared, I've then discussed exactly how that will impact on my own product. What do I think? Do I agree with them or don't I agree with them? On this page also, you're going to want to introduce it. You're going to want to have your Harvard reference, and hopefully you're going to want to have some client feedback. This is good as well because it shows that the client agrees or disagrees with the information on the page. Of course, once you've done your work as well, you're going to want to analyse what you found out with respect to making PDS points out of those particular points that you found. You can add to your PDS with the points that you get from your critical review. Okay, that might impact on your review that you're doing at the moment as well. Okay, so all the previous work should in theory have been done, although I'm aware you can carry on at home. The final submission of this won't be for a couple of weeks, so you've got time to improve things. So on to this week's task. You've now reviewed your ideas. It's time to apply what you've discussed in your review and to choose one design that you're going to go forward and propose as a solution to the problem. So I've got a little sheet here to show you which I'd like you to consider and then go and do the work. I will talk through it now. Okay, so the task is to create an idea development sketch like this one here. You can see it in the middle of the screen. What I'm also going to do here is talk you through the steps you should have done so far, the sketches, and also the review, and how that links in with this development sketch. And then I'll talk a bit about the next stage, the cardboard modelling. So, starting at step 1 up the top here, these are the 3 sketches that you have already done and put on PowerPoint. We've got idea 1 here, we've got idea 2 and idea 3. And obviously they have then been reviewed in this table here using a similar technique to the one that we have applied in the EPQ. Now this was one of my DT students, and as you can see he's developing a rather lovely pizza oven here, and it was a really good product. So I thought I'd show you what he'd done because it was an excellent example of a development sketch. You can also see the model that he then created below. So, step 1, we've got 3 ideas here, and you can see when looking at the developed idea that aspects of each of those ideas have come into play and are now blended together into what I call a Frankenstein's monster of an idea, which is better than the original. The idea here is to improve on the designs, to blend them together to make something better. So, after doing his review, he then picked the best bits, obviously the greens and the ambers, not the reds, he left them out, and he's put them together and he's drawn up, using his best drawing techniques, a new idea. So that's what you're going to do. Essentially this page is what I'd like you to create. So he's done the best drawing of his portfolio here, and I think you'll agree it's a good sketch. What I would like you to do is draw it neatly, improving on the techniques you've used before. This guy has done an oblique, which you can see here. He's also used some colouring and or shading techniques. You don't have to colour this one in, but as you can see it looks really good. I want it to be your best sketch, but at least I would like you to apply textures that we learnt in class. So he's drawn a really nice drawing. Then what he's done is he's backed up his drawing with reasoning of why he's picked aspects he has and blended them together. So for example here, he's pointing to the body and he's talking about idea 1. The body came from idea 1. It was a steel design and he's picked this because it's durable and heat resistant. He's then gone down and talked about the bottom part of his pizza oven that came from idea 2. You can see he's being clear about exactly where each idea came from and describing why it improves the product. So each of your components needs to have a separate bit of information to prove why you've brought it forwards into your new idea. Now you'll also see on the right here he's brought a new idea in that wasn't in any of the previous designs. That's fine, that's good, but it needs to be reasoned. So he said here that he's going to adapt and put a wooden grill on the front, and he's reasoned why he's decided to do that. So the development sketch is, to summarise, a new drawing, the best of your portfolio so far, with reason to support why each of the parts of your designs have been blended together. Once you've done that, you're going to want to get your client involved, which is done here in the blue box, to say exactly what they think of the new idea. Do they like it? Do give pros and cons here, and make sure it's detailed, because this is the best sketch that you're going to do, and it essentially is a final design. Then finally, an important bit is to reassess your product against the PDS. Now you can see something here, it's now better than it was previously in the reviews, and that is good. It's shown that it's developing on, and it means that it's improving with reason. That is what I'm marking you for here in the development sketch. Now step 4 here, I don't want you to worry too much about this, I'll go into it next week. What I would like you to do is to get this development sketch done to the best of your ability. Okay, and finally, about submitting your EPQ on eBrock. There's been a bit of a problem doing this, and I'm not sure if it's a problem my end or with communication, or whether people are just not submitting it on eBrock. I'm going to ask you to submit again if you haven't done already, and I'm going to update what I've said. I did contact IT support because some people hadn't actually submitted, and I had some reports of people saying it didn't upload. So I went to IT support and I asked them to prove to me that it worked, and I had an online chat where a guy tried to submit as a student, one of the people that run eBrock, and he went through the process and it worked perfectly. So I'm a bit confused. What I asked you to do was, number 1, go to eBrock and go to engineering, and then go down to the EPQ new submission portal here and click on it. Then number 2, I asked you once in there to go to the bottom where it says submit your assignment. Then number 3, add submission, click on that, and then it brings up this little portal here where you can drop your work in. Now you had to drop your work into there and it loads on. What I may have neglected to say is you then needed to save changes. So I've underlined this here. Once you do this, you must save changes using the green button. Now the fact that some students did actually submit and it worked makes me think that a lot of people may not have been pressing this save button afterwards. So please can I ask you again to submit your work on eBrock. Now when I say submit your work, obviously I do not want the work that you're doing this week, so I don't need the development sketch. What I would like is your whole project with your sketches in it, all photographed on slides, and your review submitted on eBrock. Please note this should have been done by the end of the holiday, so I'm not asking you to do anything I didn't already say you had to do. Okay, and if there's any more problems I will contact IT support, but I do hope that the problem is this save changes button down here. Forgive me, I should have made that clear. Have another go. Okay, so we're just going to be working on EPQ from now on. I will contact you with regard to the BTEC working materials later on. I don't want to give you too much to do at once, so we will do EPQ stuff for the next week. Okay, so please can you make sure that you do your development sketch. Let's have the best sketch that you've ever done in there, with annotation around it to explain exactly what it is you've chosen and why, and it must relate to the review that you've done of your 3 design sketches. I will be on eBrock on the forum to answer any questions, So just look in the EPQ folder and the Talk to Teacher button if you want to ask me any questions. I will see you on there later this week. Bye then.